All right, what's up, everyone? This is for those of you that this is DJ Sino Evil, known as also. For those of you that don't know my story, I got hit by a drunk driver back in 2018. So today I got a special guest. We're gonna speak about. He has some experience with about drinking and driving from both sides of the fence of that aspect. But with our special guest, we're gonna pretty much talk about the do's and don'ts of drinking and driving and the negative parts of it, as well as, well, anyways, I'll go ahead and let him introduce himself.
How you guys doing? My name is B. I'll go by B in the show. I'd like to just help DJ Sino Evo touch base on a lot of uh, no pros. Basically, just the negative side of drinking and driving. Whether at any age, young age to old age, it affects so many different people, and I think a lot of the youth don't understand what the cause is. You know what I mean? You can literally go from being having a great life to having no life really fast by making that decision to drive behind the wheel when you're intoxicated. So we're definitely gonna touch base on that.
So my first question for you is what was your first experience with anything to do with a DUI driver, or your first incident that you had with driving behind the wheel?
Well, growing up in the 80s, um, my dad, my parents drank a lot. They partied. The party was always at our house. So alcohol was always around my family. Going back to being in my grandparents' house. At 5 o'clock, everybody stopped and somebody rang a bell and it was tiddly time. So alcohol's always been around in my family, and there's been numerous nights where, as little kids, me and my brothers be in the car and we're whispering back and forth, being like, "Man, Dad's messed up," you know what I mean? But he always got us home safe. Um, but my first experience, growing up as a kid, I believe it was 1997. I had a great job. My first job was at a grocery store. I was a utility clerk. I had already moved out of the house, and everything was going good. I had a nice car, a little lowrider, and I had got off work one night. Actually, I had got promoted first off, so I got promoted to the pro department. So as a young kid, I was really excited. Everything was looking good, in my life. Well, I got off work one night and went by a party and had a couple drinks. Um, and I chose to get behind the wheel of my car, and I was driving home. And it doesn't matter. See, the thing that I think a lot of people don't understand is that you might feel that you are okay, but one beer is one too many to be behind the wheel. So if you get pulled over with one beer in your system, you're going to jail. You don't have to hit or kill anybody. You're going to jail. You know what I mean? Even if you get rear-ended or you say you don't hit nobody, but somebody hits you and the cops come and you have alcohol in your breath, you're going to jail. So, but I left the party, and another thing kids don't understand too is that after 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, there's nobody outside but you and the police. There's nothing but drinkers and druggers and the police. That's it. So I was in a flashy little lowrider and got pulled over in Pleasanton, California. And the officer, I was only 17, so he knew right away. He could tell I've been drinking, and I tried to lie about it. But they get paid to to know these kind of things, and trained to know these kind of things. So they ended up taking me to jail. Didn't tow my car because they were dying to drive it, so they pulled it up in a parking lot and hit the switches on it, and so I came back to a dead battery. But that was my first incident. But what it did to me in my life at the time was, I got my license was gone, suspended. So I worked out of town. So I was like, wow, how am I going to get to work? That's my source of money. No parents to take care of me. I was in a deep depression for a while. Contemplated suicide. Actually, I almost did try to kill myself. A buddy came over and saved me. I went and resorted to alcohol because it was always in my family. People drank their worries away in my family. So I drank about 340s um, and was in a spa, and my buddy found me passed out. I was almost drowned. Um, but yeah, I thought it was the end of the world. But it wasn't the end of the world, but it was at the time to me, I didn't understand how much a license is a privilege and how much having just a couple beers, thinking I'm cool as an underage kid, what it would do to my life. You know what I mean? Because it basically, I didn't have a job that required me to have a license, but I had to get back and forth to work, and I worked out of town. So now we're looking at buses, we're looking at this, we're looking at that, um, and I had a great job. So I didn't want to screw it up, union job and everything. So through Safeway. So yeah, it was a really, really costly mistake. They dropped it to a wet and reckless, which is less than a DUI, but still, it was still a really big hassle. And they got it didn't hurt anybody, but um, it was just a really big hassle. It wasn't a wise decision. I didn't have to drink, to be cool and get behind the wheel of my car.
And that's a lot of things. That's something a lot of people don't realize how, just a few beers or a couple shots can, really impair your decisions.
Yeah, that's just very true. I mean, you think about playing sports, have a couple beers and your 3-point shot, it ain't hitting. Go off for that, go deep for that deep pass in football after a couple beers, and that football you're not catching it.
Right.
So it does impair you in a lot of ways.
So about how about anything, any other experience?
Phew, I probably got a lot. Phew, I've been in a lot of car accidents that had to do with either me being hit by a drunk driver, um, and I was probably had something in my blood at the time too, whether it was narcotics, marijuana or alcohol. But once again, you know, my night probably would have went fine if I didn't get hit by somebody. But then I got hit by somebody, so now I have to stick around. You know what I mean? Because they messed up my car, and now the cops are talking to me, and there we go. So I mean, there's a lot behind it. You might just think that that one beer. You go out with your family and you go have a beer with your dinner. There's nothing wrong with having a beer with your dinner,
Right.
but the problem is that when you get behind that wheel, um, and you do something wrong in a traffic stop, or like you don't put your blinker on and the cop is suspicious of this or that, or you don't have your seatbelt on, or you're on your phone or something like that, and they pull you over, you have a really good chance of them asking you, have you had anything to drink tonight? And they know right off the bat by looking at your eyes. They know. They're trained to understand and to dissect, people's attitude, or people's the way
Right.
the way
I know, like for example, I know this individual, he was pretty much drunk. He was just drunk, passed out on the driver's side, but it was during the middle of wintertime, and he turned on this car and he turned on the heater. He wasn't going nowhere, but he was on the driver's side.
Yep.
So what happened was, a cop rode up on him, and he was on a private property at the time. And being that they seen, the car running, and they seen somebody on the driver's side, and
Yep.
they rode up on him. He wound up he tried fighting it, but he lost because he was still, behind the wheel with the key in the ignition.
Exactly. Yeah.
And he
uh,
got DUI. He had to do DUI classes and got a lot of fines for that.
yeah, I just had a really good buddy of mine. He went through he was going through a divorce. He had a great job. He was kind of down and out. Went by the house, his old house, to see his kids, and him and his ex-wife got into it. He really missed her. You know, she didn't want to be with him, and so he went and got he went and got drunk and couldn't make it home. So he made it halfway home, but he parked in an orchard and was in the driver's seat, keys in the ignition, cars off, asleep. Highway Patrol found him since the keys were in ignition, and he is behind the wheel, DUI, which that put him in a real big downspout because now not only did he lose his family, he lost his job because his job required a car, him to have a license to go back and forth, through his territory, checking on clients. So, you know, there's a lot to it. You know, and the young kids don't understand that driving is a privilege. You know, you lose your license, it's hard to get back. You know, I lost my license from that DUI that I got when I was a kid. I lost it till I was 28. I was 11 years I didn't have it because I was like, well, how am I going to get there? You know, the public transportation is hard. So now we're driving without a license. You know what I mean? Because there's so many cars out there. We think, oh, we're not going to get pulled over. We'll just be 10 and 2, 10 and 2. But that one time that cop gets by, and I remember cops get behind me and I'd freak out, like immediately turning right, going off my direction because I'm scared that I get pulled over. Because now I'm going to get pulled over I'm going to get arrested for driving on suspended because I don't have a license. So there's a trickle effect to the whole deal. You know what I mean? And then in your situation, look at those two. Look at those two girls. I mean, it could have just been they could have been perfect people. You know, perfect girls. You know, graduation night. They're just going out. They never drink. They never drug. They never smoke. They don't do nothing, and they made a bad decision that night. You know what I mean? And
And
you know
then
those.
like with my situation, unfortunately, they were taking a back road, and just that back road happened to be my main way to work.
Yeah, yeah. You know what I
Even
mean?
even taking back roads, you're still taking that chance. It's a thing that you're not guaranteed to make it from point A to point B.
No, you're not. You know, and you know, I ride my motorcycle every day, and people have been getting killed a lot lately on bikes. You know, and I I never think about somebody hitting me, but then a drunk driver, they're drunk, and I've seen them on my bike. You know, they get over really fast, or who knows, but like they might just had one beer, but they got over and they hit me, and now I crash and I die, and that one beer it was their life, was
I
their
know
life. You know what I mean?
my daughter was reading me a report on just this last weekend. There was a guy on his bike, on his motorcycle, over there off of Escalon Road,
Yeah,
and he got hit by, well, they said it was a drunk driver. It was a older gentleman, I want to say from San Francisco. He was driving a Tesla, and he was drunk, and he hit the guy on the bicycle or on the motorcycle and killed him.
yeah,
Just something that simple. Just that fast.
yeah. No, I mean there was that lady right there on the 108 not too long ago. She blew the stop sign, and she was actually I believe she was a lawyer, a wife of a really, really, really big lawyer here in Modesto. I'm not quite sure her name, but she blew through the stop sign, hit a blind side of the truck, and then the car behind them, I believe something like that. The car behind them hit that or tried to swerve, and they ended up flip. They were in a Beetle. They ended up flipping, and they died. And the one lady was going to get married. She had a kid. So all that, all because somebody was impaired. I mean, accidents are accidents, but when you're drunk and you've been drinking, that's not. I'm sorry. There's no. That's your bad. You
That's
made it.
pretty much that's what that's why a lot of times you hear me talking. I talk about my incident or an incident, and the reason
Yeah.
why I say incident is because accident, like you said, accident is an accident, but in a case of a DUI driver, it could have been prevented. So
Right.
that's an incident. That's something could have been
Yeah,
prevented.
exactly. Exactly. And even when I was living in the Midwest, I used to coach a lot of basketball. And the kids out there, they're so bored. I lived in a really, really small town when I was going to college. And the kids out there are bored. And, when they're bored, on the weekends, they would, find somebody to buy them some beer, kind of like we did with our kids. But they would go travel these back roads. They called it crop touring. They're on dirt roads. There's really no stop signs. It's all flat land, so they're just flying down dirt roads. They know their way around because they're from there, and they're just pounding beers in the car, listening to music. Well, they end up there's another set of kids doing the same thing, and there's no stop signs out there in these rural country areas, and these kids would hit head on, or you sometimes even T-bone one another, or not paying attention to a train coming over train tracks, and I tell you what, at least every single year for the time I was there, when I was there for 10 years, at least every single year from junior to senior class, at least 8 kids would die from
Yeah.
drinking and driving. No lie. No lie. Lindsborg, Kansas. These kids would be out there driving in dirt roads and lose their life. Before they even graduated, they were just trying to have some fun, you know. And that's one thing too. My mom always told me, I'd rather you. As she's told me this. She said, "I know you're gonna do it. I know you're gonna drink. I know you're gonna smoke. I know you're gonna do some things, but I'd rather you do it here at home than out there, because then you have a chance of having an incident, or or getting yourself in really big trouble. So I'd rather you be right here at home. But who wants to do that at the house? I don't want to be around my parents. But she was right, you know what I mean, in a sense that she wasn't condoning it. She just knows that she can't stop. We can't stop our kids from doing drugs, or we can't stop our kids from drinking. They're going to experience things, just like we did as kids.
Right.
But we want to try to give them a comfort zone, because there's a lot can happen when you get impaired. And then we watched our kid, who was a great ball player, who had a lot of things going for him. Now he's in big trouble. Whether he killed somebody, or whether he almost killed somebody. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's scary.
And that's the same thing. Like for for me before my incident, um, I always told my kids, instead of them going out and partying, which there's nothing wrong with partying and drinking. There's nothing wrong with that. Just once you
Yeah.
get impaired, you start making decisions that you're not supposed to. So, I always told them, what, you guys want to party, invite your friends to our house. I had a pool table and everything,
Oh
at the
yeah, I
house.
remember.
And so all the time they party, they always party at my house, which I felt a lot safer because I knew, anybody that was drinking, they either stayed the night or we drove them home.
Exactly. Exactly. And
And
that
there
and
was
that's
there was an incident not too long ago uh, over here in Modesto. So this guy, I guess the couple was from Sacramento, and this guy was got pulled over, and because he was drinking, he was over the limit. Of course, they gave the officer the right to search his car automatically.
right.
And as he was searching his car, they found a illegal gun. So they gave this individual a chance to call somebody to pick up his pickup truck. So he called his lady, and but he got arrested and they took him, and I guess he had left the key in the car or behind it, somewhere, somewhere by the truck, which his girlfriend knew about it, girlfriend, wife, I'm not too sure. And the cops weren't there when she picked up the pickup truck. So she jumped in the pickup truck and she drove off. While when she was crossing the main street, she ran into a car, and she hit this car, and the car took the car all the way into, I want to say, dragged the car like 20, 30 feet into a parking lot of one of the fast food parking lots. And she ended up killing 2 kids. But
Really?
yeah, come to find out, she was drunk herself. And, just just being drunk, getting behind the wheel, it's just so much danger to that alone.
Yeah.
And it sucks in life being the fact that we got to worry about everything's going on around us, period, let alone to worry about an individual driving next to you that's impaired. So you said you had a couple of incidents uh, or accidents. If you don't mind, I don't want anything to incriminate yourself or nothing like that. So something that's public. If you don't mind sharing one or two of those with us.
From accidents of me involving me being intoxicated.
That or being hit by somebody that's intoxicated.
Yeah, well, oh, I gotta pick the right story.
Yeah, because like I said,
um,
I don't want
I mean,
something that's not public
there's
wise.
there was a time that I had been partying for a good couple of days, um about a day and a half, 2 days, and me and my buddies jumped in the car and we took off to Oakland to go take care of something, and we were on the freeway about on 580, and I mean, I wasn't driving crazy, but the problem is that I was okay to drive, but my depth perception and things like that were impaired from being up too long. Now, if you've been up for more than 24 hours, I've been up more than 24 hours when I'm sober, and I'm still, when you're up that long, your mind starts to play tricks on you. It doesn't matter if you're drugging or not. If you're drugging and you're up that long, your mind's still playing tricks on you. But if you're sober and you've just been up working, or something is going on, your mind is still, you're slower. Your thought process is slower, your reactions are slower, your reflexes are slower, everything is slower. So we were coming on the freeway, and I'm coming around this bend on 580 right there, about three crosses in Castro Valley, and I'm going 80. 80 is normal for Bay Area traffic, and a lady was coming off of the 238 or 237, she was coming from probably from 880 and merging onto the
238. Okay.
580, or merging onto the 580. And she there's one lane to merge on there, and you come around the bend, and there's a solid white line, then it breaks up white. And she got over right when she went to go merge on, when it was a solid yellow line. But she was going 30, and I'm coming around the bend at 80, maybe 85, and I see her, but little did I know that she was gonna just go straight over to the slow lane. She's doing like 30. She was in like a Ford Probe, and I knew she had a sole lane because I know the freeway is right there, So I didn't think she was going to get over. But when I came around the bend, she was right in front of me, and I went to go swerve to get over, and she swerved the same way as me, and I hit her so hard from behind in the rear end, and she catapulted. Her car just boom, and I was in a Honda Civic, and my car immediately, it shoved the engine up into the cab. My buddy's shattered his knee because his knee went in through the dash because the dash pushed up in there. And I'm tall, but I don't know. Somehow it was all right. I ended up, the car was dead, died. I pulled straight over, and there's hotels right there, and I'll never forget it. I was just like stuck. It was like 11:30 at night, and I got out of the car. The door was kind of messed up. I got out of the car. My buddy's like, I got a guy in the back seat and my buddy in the passenger seat. And there's a hotel. Everybody came outside. They're standing on the balcony, like staring, like, because they heard the big old bang. And I look up the freeway, and she's like still going towards 164th. And I'm like, what the heck was she like? What just happened? Well, I actually, I had some stuff in the car that shouldn't be in the car. So I'm panicking now. Get out. My buddy's like, my knee, my knee. Well, there's a fence there on the side of the freeway. So long story short, my one buddy hopped the fence in the back seat. He was all right. He was probably sore, but He hopped over the fence. I picked up my other buddy and kind of like tossed him over the fence as best I could. Then threw the backpack of the other stuff. Then I hopped the fence. Well, then now people are staring at us now, so they're probably on the horn, you know. But like, luckily, I seen a buddy drive by. I mean, amazing. A friend drove by right there and was like, and I put my hands up like, and he stops the car. And I'm like, what are you doing right here right now? And he
Yeah.
goes, oh, I just came over here. And I go, so we need a ride. Like, you got to get us out of here. So the car I was in was a female's car, and I ended up calling her, and she came to the scene before the cops did. They took forever to get there, and that lady had made it to the exit, and she was okay. She was wearing her seatbelt. Um, but yeah, I don't remember what the outcome of that is, but the outcome of it for me was that I screwed up her car. She was a dear friend of mine. Her car was completely totaled, so that put her in a bind with her parents because we were all young at the time. Yeah, granted, I walked away, but I hurt my friend. You know, he busted his knee really, really bad, broke his kneecap. So it was just it was just a real bad deal. Um,
And, it's funny you say, that regardless, if you're drinking, or you're on any kind of drugs or not. Because I was a truck driver, I know how it is driving, tired. Sometimes I just had to pull over and jump in the sleeper and crash out and wake up, get my blood flowing, do some exercises. But there was a time when I was younger that matter of fact, I was partying out there in Fruitville on 36th Street in Oakland, in East Oakland. And I never drank, I never did nothing like that. But this certain weekend, I didn't sleep for like 2-3 days straight. And and I was clean, I was drinking, sodas pretty much the whole time, water, whatnot. But I was
yeah,
kicking with everybody. So I was ready to head home back to Stockton. And I remember my homeboy was like, "Hey, let me, throw this in your soda, help you stay awake just enough to get you home." And I was like, "Nah, I'm good. I'm good. I'll get home all right, And well, luckily, it was another blessing for me because I remember getting on the freeway, and that was the last thing I remember. Well, last thing I remember waking up, coming down the Altamont right before the overpass, coming down the Altamont before getting into Tracy.
yeah,
And I was going like 120 miles an hour, and I was coming. I was in the middle lane coming up on this car. And if I didn't wake up in time, I would have rear-ended that car bad. And I swerved into the fast lane. Luckily, there was no cars on the freeway. And but I tell you what, that woke me up enough to get me home back to Stockton. Once I got back to Stockton, I crashed out. But yeah, just being tired alone will impair your driving.
yeah. No, and it will. That's another thing too. I mean, I can remember. Huh, I went to school in Santa Barbara, and I remember going to school all day, like on a Thursday, and then the weekend I was off, and so I wanted to come back to the Bay Area. And I would drive home on the five. Beautiful drive, um, but rolling down the window, shaking my head. Didn't matter what music I put on. Didn't matter anything. I was just like wanted to crash. And there's times where I swear I fell asleep for like good 5-10 seconds, and then that'll scare the
I
shit out
got
of you.
I just got to think. You know what? We're gonna have to do a part two of this. I got my daughter just said something just popped up on the screen, said that the video will end in about 10 minutes. So we'll do a part two to this in about a week or two.
Yeah,
And then but yeah, I most definitely want to continue this conversation, on a part two. But pretty much this conversation, and the reason why I'm doing this, because for those that don't know my story, I was hit head on by a drunk driver on my way to work on a Tuesday morning at that. And so I'm making a positive out of my situation and trying to open people's eyes on the reality of drinking and driving, getting behind the wheel. So my main point is that you can go party, drink, do what you want, but be more cautious on your decisions, be more responsible on having a backup plan if you're gonna go out and drink and stuff.
Well, because I mean, I didn't mean to cut you off, Manuel, but it's like I think they don't. What they need to understand is that you, before the incident, you know, you first of all, you're a father of 6 kids,
Yeah. No, 9.
9 kids, father of nine children. You know what I mean? Beautiful children, great children. His daughters. Your daughters are gymnastics professionals, dang near. Your sons are, football star. You know what I mean? Like the list goes on and on when it comes to your family, and you know, um, and you guys are super loving. That probably the definition of what a family should be, as far as your guys' love for each other and unity. I mean, you think a family so big, but you guys are so tight, and you guys got each other's backs, and so it knowing all of that and knowing your story before that and knowing now that you are blind, you cannot see your kids graduate, you cannot see them grow, you cannot see them get married. You can be there and you can hear them. That's what hits home. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you didn't die, but you lost your eyes, you lost your leg. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, you put a little bit of a lightweight burden on family, and I get it, they got your back, but these people need to understand that, you know, uh, um, what you go through now, all the losses, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I couldn't imagine waking up and not being able to either hear, see. People take a lot of things for granted, you know what I mean?
And
But vision,
what they
but
don't realize too, it doesn't just impact like just the driver or the individual. It impacts the whole their whole family, the whole circle pretty much.
yeah, no doubt, no doubt. I
And
mean,
it
it's just
impacts on both sides, like the individual that ran into me, their family now missing her because she's behind bars now.
yeah. Well, no, and that too, and I know she's thinking every day, damn, I wish I could take that back, And there's no mulligans. There's no. You can't just, you can't take that back. You know what I mean? Like what's done is done.
Right.
Um, and that's and you're right. Her family really probably does miss her. Her friends probably miss her. Everybody probably misses her. Um, but you
And
know,
and in the individual's case that ran into me, um, unfortunately, the person she was with moved on within a couple of months. Moved on, and now has a baby with another person, and I just and supposedly they were in love, and they had a future together, and all that ended when that decision was made to get behind the wheel intoxicated.
yeah,
It
well,
changed lives all the way around.
life goes on. You know what I mean? It really does. It's sad to say, and that's another thing too, though. It's we always nobody thinks about death, and nobody thinks about, what I mean, like what would happen when I'm gone. But it's like when you're gone, you're gone. We got memories,
Right.
but everybody moves on. Life goes
Well,
on. You know what I mean?
we'll have a part two. I want to end this on this note. To anybody that watches this now and in the future, just remember before you leave your house, like I say, you're not guaranteed to come home. So don't
Exactly.
leave mad. Make sure you tell, the ones you love that you love them. If
Yes.
you do leave mad, make sure you say you love them and finish the argument when you come home because you're not guaranteed to make it home. So
Exactly.
make sure you say you love them and just leave on a positive note. Always leave, your place on a positive note. Never leave nothing unsaid.
Amen. Amen.
So I'm gonna go ahead and end it here, and then I'll talk to you right now. Off the scene to set up a part two to this conversation. I would really love to continue this.
Yes, sir. I
So, all right,
appreciate it.
everybody. Hope you have a good day. Have a blessed weekend.
Y'all be safe. It's 4th of July out there. Be safe.
Yeah, be
Cops
safe
are
out there.
everywhere. Cops are everywhere. And remember, hey, lighting up them fireworks too. You can lose a limb. So, watch out for
Yeah.
your loved ones and make sure you guys have a safe holiday. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. We'll have a part two for sure.
Yes, sir.